First of all, thanks for letting me come to your place.
Yeah, dude. Have a seat.
I'm sitting down with Tim Roberts and the dog, whose name is, tell me again?
Baroness Penelope Von Pitt.
That is quite a name for a canine.
She's a Newfoundland, a Landseer Newfoundland. She's 11 months old.
11 months?
Yeah, she's 90-some pounds right now, and I don't know, she could get up to 120, 100 pounds or something like that.
That was the don't stop.
Yeah.
I said, what are you doing? Don't stop.
Yeah, she likes scratches.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, man, how's life been treating you lately? How things been going?
You know.
Haven't seen you in, 2 months now? Maybe a month?
Yeah.
No, about a month. Yeah, about a month.
You know, as much as I love fair, 8 weekends back-to-back performing, and not to mention rehearsals and stuff, it takes a lot on you, you know.
Dude, the guy that just walked by, I work with him.
Who is it?
He's got long hair. He's got sleeves, tattoos. He's got wears glasses.
Yeah, he's a pharmaceutical executive.
Yeah, he works where I work.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we can talk about that. We'll have to talk about that later. His name's Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's weird.
We've hung out. He's a cool dude.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, he drives that fancy car out front.
That's a small world, man.
Yeah,
it's a super small world. Anyway, man. So what are some of your interests? What do you do to keep the lights on, like currently?
The career is in information security, and that was the dog sneezing. But the career is in information security. I lead a covert entry team with Brent White for Dark Wolf Solutions. It's a security contractor for DoD, so we do commercial and in government red team assessments. So that means, you know, we try to break into places, hack their stuff, social engineer, pretend to be contractors or construction workers or maintenance, cleaning crew, go after hours and try to get into their data centers or into areas that are considered sensitive, or the client is identified as priority targets that are risk, and impact at loss with those would be devastating. So we try to do threat simulation services, and we lead the covert entry part of that, which is a lot of social engineering and you know, physical electronic bypass and stuff like that. It's only when I travel. And then from when I'm here, I hack web, like their applications and cloud stuff and things from home. That's what most of my work is. I don't travel as much as, you know, I used to doing those kinds of assessments.
I admit I've only had a cursory knowledge of things you've done outside of the things I also was involved in.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you just told me made me just a little bit scared of you, a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's been the story of my life too. Even in relationships. You know,
seriously?
Yeah, because, you know, if you're a known industry leader and, you know, what they attach social engineering to, then, you know, I mean, hey, you're good at lying. And my dad's a magician, and I'm a performer.
You act.
Yeah. So, you know, there's some skepticism there, I think, like, as far as, like, you know, there was one girl that I dated, and her parents were like, how do you know he's not going to lie to you? And you know, and Brent's experienced that before, and other people in the industry. How do you know they're not going to hack you? And they hear, oh, you're a hacker, or you're a this or that. And
well, you think the fact that you actually told them what you do would be a large, like a big trust point, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm doing it ethically. You know, I'm doing it as a professional career. You know, I have a top secret clearance, and I do this, you know, to
expose weak points, right? To
expose weak points so that systems and people's data and stuff or proprietary information is protected. And so, you know, it's not like, to me, it sounds like, oh, you're a professional fighter. So, you know, how do you know they're not going to fight me? It's the same
absurd thing. Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah.
And anybody is is good at whatever. I am good at breaking into commercial and federal buildings. I'm good at thinking on the fly, and pretty much honestly, dude, it's improv, and it all goes back to acting and stuff. Because if you're good at improv, you're going to be good at social engineering. You're going to be good at thinking on the fly when the security guard approaches you, or you have to get past something with two-factor authentication, or a scanner or something you can't bypass. You got to tailgate, so you got to pretend.
Right. I can see how those things could overlap.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yep.
How did you get into this this field? What were you drawn in, or was it like a happenstance kind of thing, or were you shooting for it?
No, I think well, when I was a kid, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this either, but when I was a kid, Brent White, if you go to wehackpeople.com, Brent and I have been speaking at security conferences and hacker conferences like DEF CON and Black Hat and things like that for years, and on covert entry. And so when we were kids, we got in some trouble. We have a book that we're actually working on called Hacker War Stories. It's like true stories by professional liars. And it's got a lot of our stories of where we've done these things. But when we were kids, we were really into phone phreaking. And if you ever saw there was a movie called Sneakers.
Yes.
With Dan Aykroyd.
Yes.
It's a really great movie that, as a really young kid, seeing that and being like, wow, that's a profession? Whoa, they do that for a living? And then seeing the movie Hackers, which kind of shined more of a light on the hacker culture than it did necessarily the technical know-how and stuff.
Yeah.
And legitimacy to...
They got to keep people
it's flashy.
Engaged, yeah.
But it definitely, touched the finger on the pulse with the hacker community. And even today, people still jamming out to techno music at hacker cons, DEF cons, with sporting their mohawks and things, the cyberpunk culture, that kind of thing.
Definitely that. Yeah. That's for the popular.
It's inspired by it. And so when I was a kid, I got into that. But truth be told, like, I was like, man, this is cool. I know how to make this payphone spit out quarters. Or I know how to make free phone calls or long distance phone calls, especially back then when they were, you had to pay money to do that, or a fee. But knowing how to do that, or to piggyback on your neighbor's phone line, which, I never did that for long distance stuff, but just to eavesdrop. It's creepy as a 13-year-old doing that, but it's also interesting. And it was me looking back and be like, I was just curious, and it was me. These are the things I wasn't supposed to be doing. But honestly, what really got me into it were some tools out there called RATs, remote access Trojans, like back orifice, NetBus, all that stuff was real popular when I was a kid. Script kiddies would use them, is what they would call them, like new people, the people that would just point and click and not really have an understanding of what they're doing. They're just running a tool. But to look back at that, we did a lot of that, but we targeted pedophiles. Not to get serious for a moment, it was super serious for a moment, but when we were like young teenagers, like I would say between 13, 16-year-olds, we made a fake person up, like a fake girl, and we said we were 13 years old, and we would go into these teen chat rooms and stuff, and you would have these dudes, no joke, man, just creepy dudes, straight up. And then back then it was like age, sex, location, like ASL ? And then we would tell them, we're 13, and we do this, and they would start asking us stuff, and they'd ask us our bra size, and all this pervy stuff, man. And so they would ask for a picture, and what we would do is we would send a fake picture.
Right.
It was a payload, it was a virus, and they'd click on it, and it'd execute on their system, and then we take complete control over their system. And back then, people would save their website passwords to what's called an FTP. Clear text too. But they would save that stuff on their system, and they updated things. And so we would get into people's websites, and one of us would be chatting with them and just feeding them all this bull crap. And while the other one was just changing their website, what we would do is clone the FBI's top 10 profile, and we'd find a picture of the person. Like there was a realtor dude. There was a guy, Holmes, I don't want to say the URL in case, I don't think it's the same people, but
I'm sorry. The dog is really
Oh yeah,
taken to me.
the dog is very lovable, man.
Oh my gosh.
She's 90 pounds of giving me attention, and you
I'm
can't help
fine
but do
with
it
it. I'm
too
fine
because
with
she's
This is the second dog that's been on the cast.
well, she's
So,
like a bear.
Yeah.
She's great.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, man, I could talk about that stuff forever. But long story short, we felt like vigilantes as kids, and we're like, we made like students and stuff at school and got in trouble at school sometimes, and
Well, of course.
but doing all that stuff, it just spurred our creativity, and then we kind of felt like little superheroes.
Nice.
And
Or not nice. I don't know how.
yeah, no, we didn't. Fortunately, no, we didn't get like in super trouble back then because computer laws were very ambiguous back then. They weren't really.
They didn't know what they were dealing with.
Yeah,
Back then, yeah.
and so, and especially you get a juvenile, and so what are you going to do? And there was that Hollywood nonsense of the only way you could become a professional hacker is to do it if the FBI catches you and they approach you. And people would talk about that stuff as teenagers, and it's silly.
So the clickety clack 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 clack. I'm in. That's not a thing.
And yeah, I don't. Long story short, the way I got into it professionally is I tried to do some security stuff. I focused on something called asset protection and helped kind of shape an information security degree at Eastern Kentucky University before they've already established. They've got one now, but this was kind of in its infancy. I helped establish that. I got a degree in that, but I couldn't find anything to do computer security stuff with. And so I did physical security for a while with some companies, installing security systems, understanding that kind of thing. And then I would also did the whole secret shopper thing where I was asset protection, walk around, pretend I was a shopper, and capture shoplifters. So that on top of the technical skills of the hacker skills, that always got me interested in lock picking and other things. And I ended up working for the state and doing a bunch of security things until I was able to meet a guy who said, "Hey, man, how would you like to hack for a living?" I'm like, "What?" And then that was, whatever, 15 years ago. And it's been a journey ever since.
Okay. So I've known you for about 16 years now, and I've never heard any of that. I knew you worked in that field, but I never really got into depth with you about it. It was this was all new information, sort of, because I remember you showing me a video of a I forgot what you called it, where you were on the roof, you were like breaking in.
Yeah, there was I showed you kind of a scrubbed video. Yeah, and we've done stuff like that, where we've had clients be like, "Hey, man, you guys, good luck," and they don't have any access to the roof, so they're not concerned about it. Mm-hmm. But then you found like a building that's next to it, and there's not a huge drop or anything, a gap. We're not doing parkour up there, but you get a hotel room that's adjacent to something, and that window opens up. You ask the hotel, "Hey, I want this room. Me and my wife were here last year. It's our anniversary," or some BS to help them kind of push it along. And then you find out when you can get that room, and if it's the same day, that's great. Sometimes you got to wait a couple of days, but then you switch rooms. But then you switch that room, you run some wireless tests because you're close enough to capture, the wireless signals for the most part. You can fly a drone over to land it on top of there if you wanted to. We've done that with a evil access point where wireless stuff connects to it, thinks it's a legitimate thing, captures some traffic. But in this case, we got onto a roof and they had their deadbolt. It was externally facing. They were more worried about people getting on the roof from the inside and jumping than they were, because there was no fire escape on the side or anything like that. So, it's interesting, man.
Oh, that is actually pretty cool, man. I'm sort of flabbergasted a little bit by some of this. This is,
I do a lot of stuff, man. And that's what that's my full-time career. And then I also volunteer for some anti-human trafficking, like programs that do a lot of OSINT and hacking and stuff like that. A couple companies out there.
That strikes a chord with
yeah,
me,
yeah.
especially
One company.
because, I've got 2 daughters.
Yeah, yeah, it's important, man. And
Absolutely.
it's a big thing, and fortunately, I think we've made some impact. There's been some stuff in the news.
That's good, man.
And
that's real good.
And so that's cool. But then I do that, and then I have to go and do the stuff that I really enjoy doing. I love doing that stuff. I have a passion for that,
but not your job.
If I could make a full-time job out of, doing stunt work and acting, I would.
Which is what I wanted to talk about next.
Yeah.
Tell me about the acting and the stunt work.
So the acting stuff, when I was a kid, I was in a youth group. There was a theater program called Heavenly Productions. Mm-hmm. And
so it's a church youth group. Then,
yeah. So we'd travel around, we'd do these plays and stuff. And they were fun plays, But then I got into doing the plays at school and EKU. I was theater major at one point, but I changed my degree, like my focus, 6 times. Before I graduated with way too many hours.
Yeah.
But I always liked acting. I thought it was cool, and growing up watching movies like Steven Seagal. Of course, he's a twat now, but
a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
But
Yeah,
you look at those guys, and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
But that's all we had back then.
Yeah, and doing martial arts. Like I started martial arts when I was 10. And I was real into that, and seeing all these action stars and these martial arts people, and then also watching something like Dead Poet Society, and that touching me in a way where I'm like, man, this is very poetic, and this is deep. I like the acting, and Robin Williams, and Ethan Hawke, and all those guys were just amazing in that. And and then going to college and being the overdramatic person I was sometimes, still am sometimes. I think I always just wanted to act, and so doing Renaissance festivals, doing theater, doing independent films where I don't
know anything about Renaissance festivals.
Yeah,
independent films. Well,
yeah, and then starting an entertainment group and inviting several of my friends, you included along the way, doing some stunt work.
And it's 6 years for me now.
Man.
Yeah.
I think we've been going on it for 6-7 years.
You much longer. You've been involved with the Kentucky Highland Renaissance Festival for a number of years.
Yeah. I've since the beginning there. I was the king one season. I was.
You were the Bruce one season?
Yeah. So what had happened was.
See, what had happened? What had happened was I was a king for a while.
Yeah. The king couldn't do it. They didn't have anybody. They were still kind of looking for someone, and this was after the first king. So the second king was Chaz. First king was Carl. But after Carl, they needed somebody to step in for a season. And I did. I had just shaved my beard too, so I had this tiny beard. I hated it. I didn't do it justice. But I was.
I'm actually letting mine grow now.
It looks good. Man.
I'm actually letting it grow in fully.
You should.
Just keeping it off my neck.
Beads in it. Yeah.
Just keeping it off my neck.
Keep it off the neck. You got to do the underbeard.
Yeah.
Shape it.
Yeah, shape it out.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I did that, and then I was Bonnie Prince Charlie at one point. Very foppish French.
Okay, gotcha.
Scott, and then I was Edward Longshanks. I was the Black Douglas, and I think that I've done a few other things too. I was a magician, but they've been around for a long time, so I've done that for a long time, and then I got tired of doing cast, and I moved to Colorado for a little bit, and I was gone from fair for about 4 or 5 years.
I remember you going to Colorado.
Yeah. I also did that Dickens stuff, like Charles Dickens.
Right, Scrooge.
I played Scrooge for a while, for a long time, really, and that's how I met some great friends through that, and some of my best friends through that. So,
I'll have that my first time visiting Kentucky festival was when I came to see Ulfeden.
Oh.
Yeah. That's the first time I had really set foot up there.
Yeah, I was trying to get you and Ray Sharuto to join, because I was like, man, you guys know martial arts. Capoeira is, being kinesthetically aware is adaptable as Capoeira is for several disciplines, but for choreography, it's great, because even when we miss, we're like, oh, I can
I would love to segue into that in a few minutes, because we're going to talk about Capoeira a little bit later. But let's go a little more into how the Ulfeden have done in the past couple seasons.
Man.
I'm aware. I can probably chime in here and there on that because I've been involved for 6 years now.
Yeah, we've done a lot. For this past, however long we've been around, since 2018. We've done several Viking festivals, a few Renaissance festivals, and it's been good. With anything, you have your ups and downs, and then also when you get the squeaky toy action in the background now. But
you are 11 months, aren't you?
Yes.
You are such a puppy. A very large puppy.
A very large puppy. But you get you combine business and personal friendships and relationships and stuff. There's always there's a scale there where you have to kind of find the balance and everything. And it takes a while to do that, especially as a new business owner, and then also wanting my friends who I'd never really worked with, on a kind of that level. So there's two different, to me, I fully think that there's two different types of approaches to doing things, and especially now. And to have those professional and personal boundaries and accountability and everybody respecting that and stuff, I think is important. And it's shaped us and made us a great group. And we've done well over the years. We won awards, the Renaissance Fair Award.
Was it the first year?
Yeah, it was like first year we won that, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
we got nominated a few times, and we've been asked to do a lot more festivals, but
further away, too, like Texas
Texas and like Bristol. We wanted to go to Michigan at one point, and then a lot of festivals, and we've just had. It's hard when you're doing full-time work, and then all of you guys too. This isn't just your job, the only thing you're doing. You're doing other things. Some people have families and stuff. So we do this because we like doing it mostly, not because I say mostly because sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you wake up real sore.
Nah, that's never happened to me.
No, man. Yeah, we're spring chickens. But it's fun, man, and it's rewarding, and I think that's the big payment there. But to do that for several weekends, already doing it 2 months of the year,
right?
Not to mention, we're doing probably 4 months a year, That's quite a bit, at least weekend wise.
Yes, it is.
Because a lot of people, that's when their free time is their weekends, and to commit their weekends to rehearsals and performing can be a lot to ask of people. So we've got a pretty good group, good sized group, so we're able to kind of do that and try to be respectful of everybody's availability. But everybody's loved it, dude, and it's been great. We got a lot of fans. And
it's weird having fans.
It's
weird having fans. So going to Whitestown and having somebody look for you.
Oh,
specifically, for sure. That was wild. The first time that
and then
happened.
When they cheer your name, which you've experienced quite a few times.
It was a bigger hit because Nadia and Courtney were there. My wife and little girl were there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And no, I think Michaela was there too. So both my girls were there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, and Courtney was almost in tears because she heard my fair name getting chanted. Yeah, and I was.
No, when people started cheering Najee, that's awesome, and that's what I love about it too. And it feels like Ulfeden. I think we've always wanted it to kind of remain a WWE kind of feel, and
A little over the top.
Yeah, you're over the top, but you're also inspiring people, man. I remember growing up and watching Sting and Undertaker and all these guys would be like, they're so cool, and wanting to be like them and wanting to be strong. And I love that we do that with Olfiden for everyone, for boys, girls, non-binary, whoever you are, to see people of all different shapes, sizes, sexes, colors, backgrounds, just together and having fun, and then fighting and respecting each other, even in their fights, but this like warrior energy to pull that out of people, I love.
Excuse me. But yeah, I'm having fond memories of just this past summer. It was just over a month ago.
Yeah,
a little over a month ago, and we had it was rough, man. I will say.
It was so hot, man, and that's the big thing.
The sun decided to show up to every fight, even on rainy days.
Yes.
It would come out just before our performances would go on.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you thought you had cloud cover?
Hello. Yeah, your show's in 5 minutes.
I want to see the show.
I'm going to see it too. Exactly. It was the hottest it's ever been. I think doing fair for however long I've been doing fair.
Yeah.
It is. That was by far. I think this has been the hottest season. And that's what's brutal, is you wake up, it's not just muscle fatigue, for throwing myself around and fighting and rolling around in the dirt. But you're walking around all day, you're standing up on the stage, and you're in character, but you've got this garb on. And although we wear that linen that is breathable, we're still wearing it all day, and it gets sweating. And then we have the leathers. And
this was the first year I got benched.
Yeah, dude.
I got benched by Jeremiah. And I was he asked me some questions, and they felt kind of pointed.
Yeah, Jeremiah being the former paramedic.
I was like, what is
having
what
the
are you
concern?
getting at?
Yeah.
He said, you look like you stopped sweating. So, are you feeling all right? He kept walking sort of back and forth.
Yeah.
And I guess I was following him too slowly. He said, yeah, you probably need to go to the longhouse.
Yeah, and dude, we are blessed to have that longhouse, and that's what keeps us there. We got one more year of 8-weekend contract, but that's what keeps us there doing the 8-weekend stuff. That longhouse is awesome, and going in
people love
with
it.
Olfiden and the fair to build it as a cool place to hang out during fair, for people to listen to our Skaldic show, and most importantly, I think for us to have an area that's shaded and cool, and have a fan back there where we can kind of have that reprieve for a little bit.
I will say, now that I actually think about it, in no indirect way, me participating in these things for the past few years has allowed me to do this. Because I wasn't really big on having people hear me talk.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm okay talking to friends for hours, but putting my voice out there so other people can hear me do an interview with somebody or sit and talk with somebody for.
You got a good voice, man.
I've been hearing this lately.
Sultry, silky smooth.
Hey, I'm going to run with it. If I have it, I'm going to use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I will say that I think performing in front of people, which is something I thought I would never do.
But you did it in Capoeira.
Well, outside of Capoeira, which is not, it's just me focusing on the harder or playing with friends, unless I was singing and playing berimbau.
Well, I think it's the in-between times, right? Because you look, for me, to be in the roda, granted in the roda, you have to be 100% focused or you're going to kick in the head.
Kicked in the face is not where you want to be.
But you're doing the choreography and being across from a partner and stuff. To me, it's like doing sequencia. You're there. It's the same thing. You're doing your choreography, and it's
you have to know it. So
what's
you won't
the
hurt
difference
your
between
partner.
that and sequencia? Whatever. And I think being able to approach choreography that way has helped me, and even probably Jacob. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Jacob. There's Jaco, former capoeirista as well.
So that's a good place to start with Capoeira.
Yeah, man.
Which is how I met you in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is strange because I don't actually remember the moment meeting you. It's almost like you've always just sort of been around when as like a part of capoeira. You know, it's like when I know people from capoeira, it's almost like I don't remember meeting them.
Yeah.
I just sort of remember there being a part of that
did it for
that aspect.
Yeah, was it 25 years or, for 20 years or so?
It's 24. Well, if I had stayed consistently,
same
it
here.
would be 24 years. For
me.
if
I did consistently, because, it was about, I guess, 5 years ago when I kind of stopped doing it consistently. Or, well, not 5, right before Wolf did, probably, when I stopped doing it consistently. So 7 years ago.
Right.
In Capoeira for a long time. And when we first met, you and I believe Baiano and Shruto and someone else did a presentation at EKU. This was a long, long time ago. Like maybe 2000.
Probably Manoich.
Okay.
Seneca.
Yeah. It may have been Manoich.
Yeah.
But you guys had done that, and I remember
unless it was a girl, Besinho might have been with us as well. Back toward the beginning, early 2000s.
It was somebody had told me, there was a capoeira thing, because how I got involved with capoeira, and not to go too far down the memory.
It's a rabbit hole, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole. Was through EKU, and I was a class there, and when I started EKU, I was like, oh crap, this is capoeira, only the strong, and Eddie Gordo, like many of us.
And then you get that song in your head.
Banana way.
Banana way.
Banana way. Bananas. What? Banana way. But I started that class, and me and my friend Jeff McNeil, and we got pretty good at it, or at least at the time for what we thought was good. And our instructor, Jeff Gregory at the time, was also friends with Jacob, like Jaco, and Gaffanotto, like Stan, and those guys.
I think I met him before.
Yeah, they had trained at AFS. But I kept going after he moved. And the university had asked a couple of people, hey, is there anyone there that could teach capoeira? And I had done it for, the whole time I was at the university, so like 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And someone was like, well, this Tim Roberts could probably do it. And I was like, oh, I don't care to do it, but I am not an instructor, And back then I had very little guidance, and I needed a maestri, like desperately. And I love Jeff Gregory, but he was an instructor, and he was still kind of on an island in Kentucky in the Midwest, right? There wasn't a whole lot of options back then.
Not at all.
Yeah, and Mr. Cobra Manso was his ministry, and we started off in Goleros.
He was a mestre to my cousins out in DC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But during that
small world,
for
such
real.
a small world.
But when he left or whatever, I didn't have any contact with any mistress, and so I started taught. We didn't wear cords, or anything like that. And I told everybody, I'm no maestri, I'm no instructor. And I was so hungry for it, man. I just reached out to people, and I reached out to the closest group that I could find, which was in Atlanta, and it was Candias, Maestre Suino. And at the time there was a professor or instructor, Canary. I'm mispronouncing that. Little Canary or something like that. Caninieto. I don't know. Forgive me, Portuguese. But they had a batizado, an event, and in my head I thought, oh, what is a batizado? From what I'd read, which was just a little capoeira handbook and a few things online. If you go and there's a batizado and you play and the maestros judge you and you get a chord based off of how well you do or something like that. And this kind of understanding, generic understanding, and then that coupled with my Eastern martial art background, because I'm a master in Hapkido and I did jiu-jitsu and taekwondo and shaolin do and all that stuff too, and a very colorful martial art background for three decades.
When you say that, you're just like,
Yeah.
I've been doing martial arts
I've
longer
been
than you've been alive,
back in
son.
muddy. I could kick over my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, and I'm turning this into a long story, but I met Mr. Bundo, Country Mr. Bundo, at the time. He's Mr. now. And he was at that Bachizado, and he took me under his wing, and the rest is history.
It is definitely a lot of history there.
Yeah, and did a lot, man. Taught a lot. It blows people's minds when I said, I taught sometimes classes of 40 students. I had 40 Capoeira students in Kentucky, in Richmond, Kentucky.
That was wild to us.
Yeah, man. Our classes were huge.
We had trouble getting people in Frankfurt and Lexington.
Well, the way I'd done it was through the university. So there was an option for thousands of people to see and then to choose it and get credit for it. So, there was a hack to that because students that liked it came back.
And they kept going.
Then they kept coming back until they graduated.
Right.
And then in between, we would have classes in between.
Yeah.
And we'd utilize that amazing gymnastics facility.
It was nice.
It was huge.
It was nice.
And to be able to have that many people there and to have places where we could do, kind of the flourishes and train that and practice that was awesome.
I forgot pictures from the Bachizado where Mestre Urubu and Tarzan, and they were all up there. Mm-hmm. And this was right before Michaela was born because Candace was still pregnant at the time. So there's like a picture with all of us and she's pregnant in the shot.
I got so many pictures like of of you and then Baiano and just everybody from those days.
I had hair.
And throwing the first Bachizado. I was you did. You did. I think I'm not gonna, claim this, but I think I threw the first Bachizado in Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because
that was 2007.
We were traveling to Champaign for Bachizados.
2005.
Yeah, so we were still under Mestre. We're under Dennis.
Yeah.
And CDO, and we would just travel up there for all the Bachizados. Mm-hmm. There was no one here other than you and us.
Yeah, because there was, the other group with Master Valu. Not Balanso came later, but I think before that there was wasn't there, or no, it wasn't. It was with Fahad's and Steve.
Oh, that was some years into it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because I know Nana Hadi came later. And then
that was Canto. I don't know his apellido now. He still trains out in California.
Yeah.
Fahed
Melandro
and Mandrio.
Or Mandrio.
Mandrio.
Yeah. And then Steve Harris.
Right. That's was it Balanza?
Yeah.
They're Balanza.
They're Balanza with Mr. Valu. And they had their group and they were kind of doing their own thing too.
Right. But at early time, Emmy was training with us.
Yeah.
And so was Steven. He was with us in the early days at K-State.
What is Steven's apellido?
I don't.
Is it Biko?
That's his middle name.
Oh man, I don't know.
I've only called him Biko.
Oh yeah,
that's all our time through high school. That's what I went to high school with that man.
Okay.
Yeah, his funny story. His daughter, I saw her when I came to pick my littlest one up from daycare. Mm-hmm. She is one of my daughter's daycare teachers. I remember when she was born.
Oh.
I felt immensely old at that point.
I bet. Yeah.
I was like, I remember when you were this size. And now you are a teacher to my child.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, that was ages ago. And did the first Bachizado, and I wanted to bring everybody together and do Hodas, and that's when I met Fahad and Baiano, and I think you officially when you guys drove the EKU. I remember we were playing Capoeira. We had a little Hoda the class, and then you guys. I think it might have been Fahad yelling out the window, "Yay!" and everybody's like, "Ah!"
We had so much life in us back then.
Yeah,
we had so much life in us back then.
I know.
It was it was a lot, and I miss it. I miss the way it used to be back then.
Dude, I mean, we drove. So fast forward, drove every year.
We drove down
Florida,
to
man.
Florida. Oh, I remember
or Savannah,
that trip.
you know, and/or sometimes both, and all the time driving back and forth, dude. So hungry for capoeira. And,
Those trips were fun, though.
They were
man.
so good.
They were
and
good.
I made, you know, again,
trips.
some of my best friends out of that too.
Yeah.
You know, you being one of those people. I think, you know, capoeira, you meet a lot of people that become your family, and
for a
long
time.
Mestre, it was like family. It's like family, and you know, I think same thing for Muriel. You know, Mr. Muriel.
I remember meeting Muriel.
Dude, he was one of the first Mestres I met with Bundo. Bundo introduced me to.
I think.
Yeah.
I had
Bundo
like
introduced me to so many Mestres.
For some reason, man, I didn't click with Muriel in the beginning. Like when we were still training with Dennis, and everybody was way younger then.
Oh yeah, well, you look at Muriel and you look at even Ninja and stuff, and those guys, you know, I mean, Ninja's a little younger, I think, but you know, Dennis and those guys were doing some crazy stuff, man. And when they're in their 30s and 40s, like
no question.
And now I'm like, I can't.
You're not supposed to be able to do that with your body.
You have me do a fully seca right now.
And they would do it like stepping off a curb.
That's amazing.
They would and just throw something that you haven't even seen in video games yet.
Yeah, and then you didn't really like, you know, honestly, I love Muriel, and I don't think he'd get mad at hearing this, but you know, he used to be pretty intense, you know, and you look at him, because, you know, you look at Muriel and he's got that kind of like Kubrick stare most of the time, with his brow, you know, that angry stare. And I always thought that the Ninja had that stare too, a little bit. But both very fun guys. And Muriel, you know, when you crack that and you get him talking about something passionate, and you see he's such a sweet man, and you know, love that man. He's a great dude, and he listens and he provides feedback. And he's, you know, he loves Bruce Lee so much, and being able to talk to him about other martial arts, and he loved that appreciation.
Yeah,
and I really like that about him, you know, and back to Bundo too. I love every opportunity, you know, he gave me, and
he put us up in his house, man.
Dude, yeah, Bundo was all. He loved those. I miss that.
He had like 25 kids, you know? In his house. Man.
Yeah, dude, like, it was so good. It was so fun to go there, and to just, we worked our asses off, you know, all weekend doing, you know. Some people were like, "I'm paying to suffer. I'm paying to be in pain." Man. You know, yeah, you're paying to learn and to get, you know, to train with some of the best mestres in the world, and those opportunities, you know, Arubu, Kangaroo.
I got a core memory. I got a core memory from a Jacksonville trip.
Yeah,
where I got put on my behind by Pinga Fogo.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, Pinga Fogo. I love playing
Pinga Fogo, man. I don't know how he did some kind of weird Dragon Ball thing and was behind me and just my foot out from under me. I'm like,
you know, getting to play Mr. Pinga Fogo, he will do something that. So if you watch him, you watch like Kangaroo, for example. If you do the comparison, Pinga Fogo will play with you, and he will ask a question, and just to test you. You know, and it may be a little difficult question, but it's not a hard question.
Right.
He'll ask it just to see where you're at, and then he will play with you at that level, and then he will push you. You know, whereas like Kangaroo, one story I have about him, and he's my padrino.
Oh, that's your padrino.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. And but you know, when younger Kangaroo, back in the day, man.
Also,
if there was somebody came in, they had a blue cordal. No, right. And most time people see blue, they think, oh, orange,
right?
Somewhere. Not in this. Purple. Blue was kind of like one of the second raw, or like a raw cord. But you know, you see a lot of that. What you see, like a lot of the in there, and the guys, you know, pretty big, I guess. He gets in with Kangaroo, Kangaroo throws this Melogic Apostle, pow, hits him right in the side of the head, knocks him out. And then this guy's like, predominantly you see a lot of the Brazilians. Like, oh, what's going on? And they're asking about
Brazilian flag colors.
She's like,
right?
oh, what happened?
And
as it goes from the outside of the flag, it goes to the end,
right
inside of that level, gradually changing color.
and the guy bit in too.
And that's kind of how several groups approach it.
I think it's important.
You look at one group.
I think your instructors need to be
blue, yellow,
teaching you,
cordon,
and that's something I always push my students.
Instructor,
even when I wasn't,
it's confusing for some.
There's a lot more middle
the first,
transitionary
becoming
chords
legitimate
now.
and stuff.
There's more of them
having
than when I
students and always
started.
saying, guys,
in a lot of groups. It's a lot of
don't
chords
jump
now.
into there are a lot of
Not
chords,
until you understand the
but you also
language
see
of
that,
that
I
particular
think.
group.
And you see how they play.
you
see how they, they're feeding you. And also, people know Portuguese. You see that with a lot of martial arts
because people will
Americanize.
some of those photos they'll see.
I say Americanized just because of marketing. The marketing. I'm talking about American market.
Dipped in capitalism.
The martial arts becomes bastardized versions of itself to what appeals to. I had people back in the day, want to develop capoeira programs, and they wanted to have, and not associated with any kind of group or anything like that, because they wanted money. They wanted a ranking system that was kind of internal and all. It was just nonsense. And to me, anyway, because I think there should be respect for the art, and but to see some groups turn into what is like a McDojo is sad. Just
like
needing that money.
Paul Mitchell
But the
type
truth
of thing.
is too, a lot of these maestros, and I don't think people understand, and instructors even, do they do it full time?
It's their job.
That's their life.
Yes, their whole life.
And so bringing a maestro in for a bachizado and being able to it's like bringing a celebrity in. You have to be able to lodging and all this other stuff and travel costs, but also to help them because that's their livelihood. And I don't discredit that. I'm not all about, hey, capoeira should all be taught for free and stuff, and I think it's great. I think it should be available for people that can't afford it. I love to see programs that can adapt to that, but I also understand that that's some people's livelihood and they bring it here and they need to be able to sustain that and support that.
I would like to see it get for like when we started in, I guess, 02, 03, like officially, when we had our batizado, it was 03. And I felt like it was really taking off. Like more and more people were seeing it. More and more people were trying to get into it.
That was in Atlanta, yeah?
Our first batizado was actually in Champaign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at UI, I forget the name of the university. Yeah. But I think because we were attuned to it, we could see it more places. When you get a car, you always see that
you
car.
see that same car driving.
It was the same.
For sure.
It was the same with capoeira. It's like I recently saw it's still in there. Like I'll pick it out of people's dance routines. I'll pick it out of choreography in movies. I'll pick it out there was a scene in Hellboy 2 where
absolutely
where Abe Sapien was basically doing like Mio Gio movements.
Oh like, so I'm doing macaquinho.
Like, and Volta por cima and all that stuff. I was like,
I see that. I see you. No.
What was it? Oceans.
Oh yeah, the Oceans.
The whole
the
absurd lasers security scene.
Yeah, and then video games and the fighting games especially.
Yes.
But in MMA, you see it in the UFC a lot more. People are cross training. When I was teaching at an MMA gym in Colorado at a Mountain Beast MMA, and great guy Rob owns it. But when I was teaching there. A lot of those guys, they were changing their some of their kickboxing programs and stuff, their striking disciplines over to capoeira because they wanted to change it up. They wanted to add tools to their toolbox, and that's admirable.
Fair enough.
I think. Yeah. What I don't like is seeing people take away from it and then not pay it any respect. And I think you see that a lot. I hate, like, truthfully, I know that a martello is a roundhouse. A roundhouse is a roundhouse. But when you see what is obviously a
Meia-lua passo,
martelo do chão, or meia-lua passo, or bico de papagaio, or al batido. You see something like that, and then you're like, this super secret kick. I'm like, shut up. Man, you don't know shit. You mean this 400-year-old kick? Like, but
shut up.
It gets on my nerves,
Super
man.
secret. Get out of here,
Super
man.
secret UFC
Get outta
training
here,
bullshit.
man.
It's a base sound. You know, just call it a fucking push kick. Like, sorry, I got the F-bomb there, but
you're
that
fine,
frustrates me,
You're
man.
fine.
Like,
I understand. I understand completely. And I see Ao Batidos
respect
all the
the
time.
art, bro.
You know, Ao Batido was the only thing that dancers did for a long time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, geez, they keep doing this.
But
they called it what was it called? The K kick.
The K kick. But the truth be told, though, I think for out of respect for the b-boys out there, there's a lot of crossover, and I think even modern contemporary capoeira. Took a lot.
Some stuff has come back.
Yeah, because you look at flourishes and stuff like that. Bimba wasn't out there doing, all these crazy flips.
No.
Highs is 3 times in a row and into their freaking Voltissima.
Yeah. Especially not Bimba.
Like, I just, seeing, and maybe they were, but not to the extreme that you see these days, I don't think.
Like the head spins.
People are flying, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful art. But, I know for a long time people would think, oh, I just want to learn these really cool things, or how is that practical? And I always hated that too, especially being someone that regional, primarily regional, like this, kind of focus. I sometimes hated when people would say capoeira wasn't practical or whatever. As a martial artist of other disciplines, hearing that would annoy the crap out of me.
I felt the same way, but then I got to a point where I was like, good. Yeah. You're supposed to think that.
Well, absolutely. It's just you still think it's a dance? Great. Oh, it's carried on, That's tradition.
Right. It is. It is.
But
it is to you.
It is. But when I used to do the open discipline martial arts tournaments, so I was part of Team America and went to Ireland and competed and all that stuff. It was supposed to be open discipline, right? So I get in there. If I started doing the Jenga, there's no way, man. They'd stop. They'd stop it. What are you doing?
What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
But did I, of course, absolutely hide capoeira in my movements? Even today, you watch our choreography, you'll see like a paso para atrás, or you'll see the shift, like kind of almost going to a Jenga. And because it's part of it. You see Negativa, you see Martelo no Chão. I think I do Martelo no Chão like a couple times in a couple fights. And but yeah, capoeira is amazing art. I love it. Beautiful art. I taught it for 20 years. And,
oh wow, dude! Wow.
Yeah, man. And I think about that too. I'm like 20 years. Let's say I had an average of 20 students. Let's say at max I had 40 students. At minimum maybe 12. We'll say 20 is a balance, right?
Right. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of lives.
That I was blessed to be a catalyst for sharing capoeira with, and the bundo. I think I was blessed to have in my life, in those aspects, especially when I was starting off, to help me feel to be empowered to share capoeira with people as a white man, because that happened a lot too. And like people come to class and they'd be disappointed that I wasn't. They would hear, oh, perna de pau, and they come, oh, whatever.
Why?
And they come there and they would expect a Brazilian, like someone that looked like a Brazilian, like Indian, or they would expect a Afro-Brazilian or an African-American. And then when they see it, this Nord-looking Scotsman, and I'm just like, hey, wait a minute. I got 10% Shawnee, like on every Appalachian.
Who is Sven over here teaching?
Yeah, exactly. Well, my first apelido was Orsal Blanco.
Oh, no.
White bear.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like that was kangaroo. And then Bundo hated it. He was like, no. Because it didn't fit me. It didn't fit my personality.
There's an Urso Polar.
Yeah.
And I don't think he dug it either. I didn't dig it because I was Orson.
Yeah.
I always be on.
Like, I'm just Bear, bro.
Yeah, it's like I'm the big bear.
Yeah,
I'm that guy. Thanks, Mr. Honey. It probably would have been a different name if we weren't so disparate in size.
Yeah.
Dude caught me
Love Honey.
in the forehead in my bachizado.
Honey?
Yeah, he caught me with a knee in the forehead.
he caught Ash. Deja Floor. He got her with a good slap. He felt so bad. He called me the next day. I love Honey.
on the VHS tape that showed you how long ago it was. I watched the tape of the bachizado, and I don't know how I ended up in Negativa. I think he swept me or whatever, and I was in Negativa, and I was trying to hole to get up, but he was in front of me, and he caught me with a knee.
Yeah.
And I remember shaking it off, but I didn't see what he did after he did that. He turned around.
He was like, his head or his face.
Yeah, he was like, I didn't mean to do that. Well, I was fine, but he didn't leave any bumps or marks, or it didn't rattle my cage or nothing.
Man, the hardest I ever was hit by Kangaroo. His kicks, dude.
His hands are like stone too.
Yeah. The whole man. He's like, he reminds me of like some ancient Shaolin monk that's been training up on, like kind of like Pai Mei,
standing over the rice, dipping his hands in hot sand, over and over again. Oh yeah, that
rolling his shins with iron bars.
Oh yeah, that's it. And he always had this look.
Yeah,
like his eyebrows were in a permanent state of
you didn't want to
displeasure.
Piss him off, and then he started getting that goatee, the chin, the hair. He looked like a little goat.
I'll tell you, one of my
shit out of you.
One of my favorite mestres over the years was Mestre Urubu.
Urubu was awesome, man.
He was hilarious.
My favorite story about Urubu was the first time I met him. I was cooking. He came over, and we had all the mestres and instructors and stuff over, and we were cooking. One of the students was there. I think it was might have been Dilbert. Somebody was like, "Hey, let's put on Only the Strong," and then Urubu was like, "No."
I remember that.
Yeah, yes.
This was at the Bachizado that year.
Yeah.
I think we met. I think
it was at Angina's apartment.
Yeah.
In Richmond, Kentucky.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yes.
Urubu,
Shout out Angina.
Yeah. Shout out to Angina if you're listening, and to Urubu if you come across. And
to Sabia was there as well. She was brand new.
Oh yeah.
She was like a freshman or something back then.
Sabia started when after Onda.
Yeah.
Because she was Lauren's roommate in college.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
And that's how I met Shani.
Oh, wow.
Sabia.
And I believe she's in this town too.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I lost touch with a lot.
She lives here.
Well, that's cool. I lost touch with a lot of people, man. Like, it's wild. I sometimes I think, man, what if I started doing capoeira again? But time and things, and I've been able to put my martial arts into like choreography and stunt work and performing, and I get to pretend and play fight now, instead of, I don't compete, of course, I haven't done that in years, but even teaching is a full-time thing, and it took a lot out of me, man.
Ask Sharut.
Sharuto is
he's still working hard,
and he's at that grindstone, man, and he does an awesome job. People love him, and I think he is worthy of professor, and I think he's worthy of professor and even more. I love that dude, and I will continue to support him as someone who is an ambiguous professor who's been doing capoeira for a very long time. I will continue to love and support you guys, and and I would love to be, and I hesitate saying that I'm because I'm volto mundo, with Muriel, because moved over, after talking with Bundo and stuff, and transitioned from Beta Ma to that, but I hadn't been able to focus on capoeira because of just big life changes and moves, and then trying to get into film, a few films out there that I've been trying to do, and
spending time in Scotland.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
And also being a Viking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
being a Viking and performing. Hopefully
a
after
knight.
next year, some of my time will free up.
Yeah.
But I'm wanting to focus on film again, and I'm wanting, I don't know if you're interested in that stuff, but trying to build a better network of that in the area, because it's Kentucky's a good place for it. It's a good hub. Lexington, Louisville.
I don't mind at all. When nowadays when people ask me if I'm interested in doing something that's sort of performative, or something where I have to act or use my voice or whatever, I'm more likely to be like, yeah, I'll jump in on that. I'll jump in on that. For some reason, I've decided to leave behind the anxiety that kept me from doing this for a couple years now. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I said, it's pull the trigger. I don't need a lot of expensive equipment. I'll just record.
Yeah, especially if you're just speaking that like conversationally like this.
Yes.
Which I've been on a lot of different podcasts and stuff over the years, like Profiling Evil and things like that. Like some big name ones where they're very mechanical, and then some that aren't. Some that are very conversational. And I've enjoyed the conversational ones because it feels more natural. And I think at least for listeners, to be able to digest it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Granted, there's a lot of exposition that we're missing, or probably things are paraphrased and things, but man, I'm proud of you for doing it, and
I appreciate it, man.
And I think even this year, you reading the Ulfithin,
I enjoyed that.
The prose at the beginning of that. You do such a good job with that, and you enunciate. You're a good communicator, man. So keep it up.
Yeah, it took me a little bit to try to get to where I would be doing something more with the Skaldic show, instead of just tapping the.
Yeah, and I think we wanted people to do that. For everybody to feel like they're involved in that. That it's not just one or two people singing or being, because it's more than just a music show. It's, it's an experience. That storytelling. I think the Ragnarok story was amazing. Voluspa, was great. Voluspa.
Yeah, and we got some good singers too, man.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we got some really good singers.
Everybody's awesome.
Yeah. So a couple of people of which I have on my list to go and sit and talk to just like this.
Some very interesting people. So,
which is why I decided to really pull the trigger, because when I thought about who I would be able to talk to, and when I put the call out on Facebook, my inbox exploded. And I was like, I know actors, I know teachers, I know like people in politics, I know people in church, I know people who do a lot of things, and a lot of those people have contributed to the person that I am becoming as I approach 50. a lot of that has shaped me, regardless of what you want to say about being influenced by your friends and family. All in all, when I have a good set of episodes and conversations, it's a good slice of me that you're getting from the people that have influenced me.
Yeah.
So you're getting an idea of the kind of person I am from who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Comic book artists in Lexington, martial artists in you and Ray. There's another Ray I want to talk to who he does animation. He's putting out some stuff here pretty soon. There's a Renaissance performers, there's singers, there's dancers. It's like when I started to think about it, I'm like, I've been lucky, man.
Yeah.
I've been lucky to meet and become friends with and talk to people who are just interesting. Like even my wife, she's a psychologist. She works with veterans.
Right.
That's a whole conversation right there. If I can get her to sit down and talk to me for an hour,
absolutely.
If I can get her to marry me, I can get her to talk for an hour. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I also think it speaks volume to, people are comfortable talking with you because you're easy to talk with too, and for people to fill your inbox. Everybody wants, I think, a platform to be heard.
Absolutely.
And they and to have these kind of one-on-one conversational experiences
And
to
you
be
know, I
able
try
share
to.
that.
I want to keep it. I want to keep it on the lighter side too, because I think there's enough people who have microphones and podcasts who sort of veer toward negativity.
Yeah.
And because rage baiting and wanting people to get mad and they do it for clicks, and I'm like, they got it covered. They got all that side covered. Let me go to the other. Let me go to the rose-colored glasses sort of type of people who enjoy life. You know, who enjoy what they do.
You know, and I wouldn't necessarily say I have rose-colored glasses. I can be pretty, you know.
In this conversation, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's nice to be able to just almost speak openly with some, because it is your friend. You know, knowing that it's going to be out there too. You know that.
I'm not gonna spin it and make you look like a villain.
Oh yeah, no.
This
nothing out of
hacker is
context.
after your children's information
Exactly.
through martial arts and pretending to be a Viking.
Throws knives at people.
I didn't even mention the circus thing.
Yeah, man. I could feel this for another
Yeah.
hour, to be truthful with
We're
you, man.
over an hour now, man.
Yeah.
We're about hour 10 now.
Yeah, I also a circus knife thrower. Well, I was. I've kind of that's something I've had to shelf.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to keep up with that. It's not like you can sit for like 3 months and be like, oh, I'm going to go do a show and throw knives around. You know,
somebody might die.
Someone that I care about, that I would be really upset about it. Or anybody for that matter. I would be really upset if it was a stranger. But yeah, throw knives around your friends. It's stressful, and you want to make sure you're good.
Absolutely. I'm gonna get a quick shot.
Yeah.
Make sure I get the Turtles machine in the background.
Oh
there.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wanted my place to look like a Highlander loft mixed with a turtle, like a lair.
It's
with like
definitely a
wizard,
layer, bro. Without
without
question.
Study. Yeah,
You've got a spiral staircase, for goodness sake.
I know. Yeah.
So yeah,
And I came
good.
across this furniture on Marketplace for a good deal and looked very Sherlock Holmesy.
This reminds me of a story I can tell you later about who we stayed with in Chicago during the Battezado.
Right on.
It was me and Shrouded and Baiano and Meanoich. We stayed in somebody's loft. But that's a story for another day.
Yeah, man.
Story for another day. So, man, I do appreciate you sitting down with me, taking your time. I know you're a busy guy. And I got to get back to Lexington, and you got to get to wherever you need to get to, man.
Yeah, man, playing some Dungeons and Dragons online tonight.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, some old friends of mine.
All right.
We we try to we all live in different parts of the world, so
Yeah.
we try to get together and keep that going. So.
But once again, so this has been Timothy.
Yeah.
Tim Roberts, my friend Perna Japal, my friend Jarl Aros Uftong. Yeah, man. And Chosen Family.
Absolutely,
and Chosen
man.
Family, man.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Love
Appreciate you.
And yeah, Penelope says bye too.
All right. Penelope, the giant puppy.
Big Newfie.
All right, man.
Later.